Hello everyone. Today I'm going to explain you about the conditional call instruction in the microcontroller. So in the microcontroller lab, the fifth subheading is to run few of the programs related to the conditional call and return instruction. So today I'm going to explain about the conditional call and return instruction. Prior to that, 1 minute, let me share the screen. So here is the program which we have written to explain the concept of the call and return instruction. That is, write an ALP to design a stopwatch for 3 minutes using the conditional call and return instruction. First, let us understand what exactly is your call and return instruction, for what we'll be using these two instructions. Now, as you run the programs in the microcontroller, as you know that when the processor is running some main program, if you want to stop the execution or if you want to run any of the sub program, to jump from main program to the sub program, you'll make use of these two instructions. That is the call instruction. Call instruction will be used to jump from execution of the main program to the sub program, and to return from the sub program to the main program, we'll make use of the return instruction. So these two instructions will be used as a combination to jump from main program to the sub program by making use of the call instruction, and return instruction will be used to jump from sub program to the main program. In many of the aspects, all the instructions can't be included in a single program. So what we usually will do it is, like for example, wherever we want a delay program will be only written once. That will be considered as a sub program which will be saved in a system. In whichever the program we are running, if we want a delay to be included, so we'll just write a call instruction and we'll only specify the name of the sub program. By using the name of the sub program in a call instruction, we can jump from main program to the sub program. So what exactly your processor will do is, it will stop the execution of the main program. It jumps to the sub program, which are the name we have specified, and it will start executing the instructions under the sub program. Once it is done, it will come back to once it will encounter the return instruction, so immediately it will stop the execution of the sub program. It returns back to the main program, to the next instruction after your call instruction in the main program, and it will continue running the main program. This is how the call and return instruction works. It is mainly used to jump from the main program to the sub program. So subroutine instructions are executed by making use of the recall instruction and the return instruction. So let us take an example. So to explain these two instructions, we have written an example program as, write an ALP to design a stopwatch for 3 minutes. That is, we have written a program where we are running a program where we have to where we have designed a stopwatch for 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, it should stop the execution. This is how the program is written using the conditional call and return instruction. So let me get into the details of the program. So as you already know that the program, we will start with the origination, that is org 000H will nothing but will just originate the program. After that, we are using the accumulator and one register. I have used the R7 register and the accumulator. A represents the accumulator, R7 register, R7 is nothing but the register. You can use any other registers also. So for my convenience, I have used A and R7. So initially I'm clearing the A accumulator and R7 just by loading it with 00. So move A comma hash 00H is nothing but I'm moving an immediate data, that is 00 into an accumulator, that is A. And even I'm moving a 00 data into, that is immediate data, into R7. These two are immediate addressing, written in immediate addressing mode, where 00 is loaded into accumulator and R7. Now, what is the use of this one is, as you know that we have written the program for a stopwatch for 3 minutes. 3 minutes means each minute consists of 60 seconds. So let us split up like this. For counting how many minutes, we'll use one register among these two, and we'll count each minute consists of 60 seconds, right? So to count the seconds, we'll use another register. So what we have done it here is, A, that is the accumulator, is used to keep a track of seconds, and R7 is used to keep a track of minutes. When it reaches 60 seconds, so immediately it will be counted as minute, and R7, whenever it reaches 3 minutes, the program should stop the execution. That is how the program is written. So two registers are initialized and it is cleared with 00. Now the next instruction is A call SEC. Here something is written as A call SEC. As I mentioned, call instruction is used to jump from main program to the sub program. So this is what is your main program is from here. So your sub subprogram is from this line. So what we'll be doing here is A call segments. SEC is the name where the subprogram is written or addressed. So the address of subprogram is saved in terms of that is with the variable as SEC. Immediately when this instruction will get executed, your processor will stop the execution at this level. It will not go to the next instruction. Immediately it jumps to something called as SEC. So SEC is somewhere over here where we have written the subprogram. So immediately by skipping the execution of the next set of instruction in the main program, it will be jumped to the subprogram. So in this subprogram, what exactly we have done it is we have just written a delay. So what we have done it is we have made use of 3 register: R0 register, R1 register, and R2 register. So here all the 3 registers are filled with the value of FF, that is in hexadecimal FF. In decimal, it is nothing but 255. So the R0, R1, R2 are loaded with the 255 value. All the 3 registers are loaded with the FF value. So move R0, hash 0 FF will load your R0 value, R0 register with FF. Similarly, R1 and R2. Now, why we have done this is, so the next set of instruction, the next instruction is DJNZ, that represent decrement jump not 0. That is, you have to decrement R2 register, DJNZ R2. That means you have to decrement the R2 register. If it is not 0, that is the content of R2 is not 0, you have to repeat the same instruction, that is jump back to the same, that is previous instruction. That means you have to keep on decrementing the content of R2 till it becomes 0. That is the meaning of this. So DJNZ instruction represents decrement jump not 0 R2. So till as we have loaded R2 with 255, till R2 content becomes 0, it will be keep on repeating the same instruction. That is, it will be keep on decrementing. So once from 255 it counts down to 0, immediately this set of instruction, this is loop, so it comes out of the loop. Next instruction is DJNZ R1, L2. That means now you are not checking the content of R2. Anyway, it has gone to 0. Now we are checking the content of R1. If you remember, means even R1 we have loaded with FF value. That means even R1 is having FF value, that is 255 value in terms of decimal. So the same set of these 2 set of instruction has to be repeated. That is, you have to decrement jump not 0. If the R1 content is not 0, jump to L2 and keep on repeating this set of instruction. That is 255 times R2 in the, that is decrementation will be repeated till your R1 will get 0. One time if R2 is executed means your R1 will be decremented from 255 to 254. Like that, it has to repeat it for 255 times. So once this set of instructions are done, it will create a delay. After that, again, next instruction is decrement jump not 0 R0 with R1, L1. That means the same process whatever I explained has to be repeated another 255 times, because we are using one more register called as R0. If you remember, R0 is also filled with the value of FF. So that FF, from FF it comes down to 0, the same set of instruction, that is R1 and R2, again it will be filled with FF and again it has to be decremented to 0. So the same set of instructions will be repeated. So the next instruction is CPL P2.7. Actually that is, you can replace it with an off instruction or else you can delete it also, that doesn't matter. That will only if you increment. What exactly is that instruction is? CPL means complement port 2.7. That is the 7th bit in the port 2 has to be complemented. So that is only to create an additional delay we are using. So if you remove it also, it doesn't matter. That doesn't make much difference. So only approximately some milliseconds it may vary. That's it. So after that is your written instruction. As if you remember at starting I told, to jump from main program to subprogram we'll use a call instruction. Written instruction is used to return from subprogram to the main program. So the next instruction, this written instruction will make the processor to complete the that is stop the execution of the subprogram. Immediately it comes to the next instruction after the call instruction. So if you just observe over here, the next instruction after the call instruction is increment A. As I already mentioned, A is used to count the seconds, right? So this delay program is used for the milliseconds. So once we complete the delay program, your A is incremented by 1. That means 1 second is over. That is the meaning of the next instruction is. So increment A, that means initially the A was 0. Now it will be counted as 1. So after counting it as 1, we are just saving it onto P1. That is move P1 comma A represent, saving the accumulator data onto the port 1. That's it. After that, again, we are just checking out that that is jump not equal A comma 60, that is immediate value 60. I'm comparing the content of my A with 60. What is that number? 60 is nothing but it represents the 60 second. So till that time your count of A goes to 60, it has to jump to this particular label, that is repeat. Repeat is over here, that is to call the subroutine program. So 60 times this delay program has to be executed. So each time once it comes out of the delay program, once it comes back, your A will get incremented. So it will just keep a count of how many times you have executed that one. That counts the how many seconds have passed. That's it. So A will keep a track of 60. Whenever your A will be equal to 60, for example, you assume that 60 times you have run the sub program and your A count has increased to 60. Now, whenever jump not equal to 60, if it is not equal, then only it will go back to repeat and call the subroutine program. For example, if it is equal to 60, you assume that it has reached 60, A has reached 60, then it will stop the execution because 60 second, that is 60 times you have run the delay program and it has become equal to the immediate value what you are comparing. So that means 1 minute has passed. So to have a account of that, what we'll be doing is, next instruction is, we'll clear the content of accumulator, we'll increment the R7. If you remember, I already mentioned that we'll reserve A, will reserve the register to keep an account of seconds. We'll reserve the R7 register to keep an account of minutes. So immediately after clearing the accumulator, next we'll increment the R7. So that increment of R7, now initially it was 0, now it will be incremented by 1. That means 1 second has passed. Sorry, 1 minute. Sorry, it was muted till now. Once again, I'll just repeat. So after clearing the content of A, your R7 is incremented, right? That means 1 minute has passed. So R7 is incremented by 1. So C, J and E is nothing but compare jump not equal. So your R7 will be compared with 3 because we have written the program for 3 minutes. Your R7 has to reach. As of now, it is only 1. So compare. If after comparing your R7 is not equal to 3, it has to again go to repeat label. So repeat label is nothing but over here where it will be calling for the subprogram. So again your subprogram will be executed. So one time subprogram execution is nothing but 1 second will be counted. So like that, same thing will be repeated for 3 minutes. So every time a 60 seconds are counted. So it once your A accumulator will be filled with the 60 value, it will be compared. Again R7 will get incremented. For the second time it goes to 2, and for the third time it goes to 3. Once 3 minutes are done, so immediately it comes out of this loop, it will go to the execution of the next set of instruction. That is your R7 value, which is equals to 3, will be saved onto port 0. After that, short jump, S jump is nothing but short jump exit. So it will immediately go to exit, and short jump, the exit label is represented again by short jump, which is nothing but you'll end the program. So this is what is your program, which is written for a stopwatch for 3 minutes. Now I'll show you how to execute this program. This was the logic of the program. So now I'll explain you how to execute the program. I'll just move on with the share screen. 1 minute. Okay, once you double tap on the key Vision 3 on your desktop, so this screen will be open. In this screen, I'll just show you how to start with the thing. On the desktop, you have to double click on the key Vision 3 icon. After double tapping, the screen will be open. So what you have to do it is, you have to close all the open project. Once you are done with this, you have to go to project, then open a new project. So once you are open with a new project, if you are already have an that is folder where you are saving your program, you can go and search for that particular folder. If not, now you can even create a folder. For example, on the desktop, I'll just create a folder with some name, that is a new folder. I'll just give it as programs pgm. So open. So here I have opened that folder which I have created just now. So I have to save a project into that particular folder. So I'll just give some name for that. So I'll just give it as delay delay program. This is the name of my project. You can give any name. For the project name, you need, for creation of the project, you need not to give any extension, only give some name and save it. So once you will save it, this dialog box will be open where you have to actually select Atmel. So once you click on the Atmel, it will ask for which processor are you using. So usually here you can choose any one. For the simulation, it will not make any trouble. You can choose any one and you can go further. But in terms of when you move on to hardware, usually specifically we'll ask you to like choose 8089C 51 ED2. So please practice using the same for all the simulation and the hardware part also. So you can just click on 8089C 51 ED2 processor and press OK. So after that, it will ask for a condition, that is copy standard 8051 startup code to project folder, add file to project. Actually, you should not do that. So you can click on no. Okay, by mistake if you have clicked yes also, not to worry, later on we can delete it. So how to delete it, I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later. Next, after that, you preferably select it no. Okay, after that, now you have to write the program. For that sake, you have to open a file, go to file, click on new, tap on new. So it will just show you the that is file where you can start writing the program. So you people have to write the program. As I already have the program with me, I'll just open this or I'll just copy paste the program from there. Okay, okay, so this is the program which is written. 1 minute, quickly I'll just rearrange it. See, as I mentioned, this complement port 2.7, this instruction can be retained, or else you can even remove it, or else you can replace it with NOP instruction. NOP means NOP instruction. Okay, 1 byte instruction. Those are 1 byte instruction, which will actually add a little bit of more delay to your sub program. That's it. If you remove it also, it doesn't matter. Approximately some few milliseconds will be varied. That's it. So you can just remove that instruction. After that, now my program is ready. Once the program is ready, you have to save the program. To save the program, you have to go to file. After going to file, you have to click on save. Once you'll save, remain in the same folder. So what you have to do it is, don't change the folder and all, don't touch this. You have to only name the program. So what I'll do it is, I'll just give it as program 1. So this is the name what I have given, PROG program 1. But for file, I have to give an extension because I have written the program in this one, right? So it has to be named with the assembly, that is ASM file. It should be considered as ASM file. So the extension should be .asm. So once you are done with giving the file name with the extension of .asm, don't forget to give the extension, please. .asm is mandatory. So you have to click on save. Now your program is saved. But before going for running of the program, you have to add this to the source group of your project. So what you have to do it is, go on the left side of your screen, can you see something called a source group 1 here? So you have to go there, just right click on that one. That will give you an option called as add file to group source, add file to group with the name called as source group 1. So you have to just click on that. What exactly it will do is it will open up the file, which file has to be added to the source group. So your file, whatever you have just saved, will not be visible to you, because as of now, you can just check it out here. The file type is C source file, but we have saved it as ASM file. So we have to click on this drop box. We have to select ASM source files. Once you click on this, what are the programs you have saved in your system, all will be displayed. Among those programs, you have to select the program name, which I have saved it as prog1.asm. I'll just select that one and I'll add. So if you click on this add, your file, you have to click on this add. Once you click on this add, just close it. Now, how to verify whether it is added or not means, you can just go to this source group. There will be a plus button which will show you what and all the things are there. So previously, if you remember, means it has asked for adding. We have given it as no, right? That one more code it has asked, a dialog box was opened. By mistake, instead of giving no, if you have pressed yes, means that will be visible over here. You can just right click on that one and you can remove that additional file, whatever is being added by default. Okay, now as of now, nothing is there, only you have to add the file. After that, yes, you have successfully added the file to your source group. Now you have to go for the execution. How to do the execution means, one is either you can directly click on this icon, which is nothing but build the target, or else you can go for this buttons, which that is this things over here, that is go to view and build the target. The best thing is this icon will be present over here, so you can just go and tap on build target, that is this icon. So once you will build the target, if any errors are there, here you can just check it out in the low output window. If any errors are there, that will be specified over here, and on which line the error is there also will be specified. As of now, in my program, there's no error, so it is showing it as 0 errors and 0 warnings are there. So successfully the target has been built. Next, I have to go and click on this debug button, or else you can go over here for debug and start debug session. One and the same, both will perform the same operation. If you click on the debug button, it will actually show you one dialog box called as evaluation version running with the code size limit 2K. So you have to click OK. So now it is ready to run the program. So all the compilation is done. So to see the output, because we have designed the program for running it for 3 minutes, right? So to have a count, let us go to the watch clock over here. So we have to click on here in the watch window. You have to click on watch 1. Can you see there is something called as type F2 to edit? You have to just click on that, press F2 button. So after pressing F2 button, it will enable you to edit that. So as you can just check it out in your program, we have used two register. One is accumulator to count the seconds. Another one is R7 to count the minutes. So I'll first mention A, which counts the that is seconds. Then you have to press enter. Press A and press enter. Okay, so second one is R7 will count, keep the track of the minutes. So one more that is register content, I like to watch that. So for that sake, again click on type F2 to edit. That is, I want to watch one more content of the register, another register content. So again, I have to press F2 and I'll press that is type R7. So 1 minute, R7. So after that, press enter. Now I have in the watch window, I can have a look at both the contents of the accumulator and R7 register. So now I'm ready to that is run the program and have a look at what exactly the count will be. So after that, come back to your run option. That is, here there is something called as wherever you have done the debug, right? In the same place, once the debug is completed, so it will replace the build option with the run option. So you have to click on this run option. Can you just check it out? This is the icon. So you have to click on this run button, or else again you can go for this tools and you that is the above icon bar, and you can search for the run button and you can run it, or else you can use these shortcuts. Now once you are running the program, you have to only observe the watch window over here. You can just check it out over here. Each time the delay program is done, run, you can just observe after some delay, your A is keep on changing from one value to the next. It is keep on incrementing. So it has started from 0. It will go the up to how much value? It will go up to 60 seconds. That is in hexadecimal, the value will be something else. So in decimal, it is 60. So we have to stop at 60. We have designed the program according to that. So till 60, it will be keep on running the sub program. So only R7 is not that is changing every time. Only A is changing. So each time the sub program is run, your A will be incremented by 1. So it moves on up to 1 minute. It will just show you. It will go up to 3 something. 1 minute. (2D). It will go up to 3C as I remember. 31, 32. 37, 38, 39, 3A, 3B, and 3C. Now you can just check it out. Immediately 3B. 3B is the equivalent of your decimal 60. So immediately after 3B, now you can observe your R7 has incremented from 00 to 1. That means 60 seconds are counted. That is being tracked by your A register. Once it reaches 60, immediately it comes out of this particular loop. That is this particular line. This set of instructions are done. So now it will clear A. Again, your A will become 0 and you will increment R7. So only your R7 has increased to 1 and your A has again started running the same program. Because here we have written the next instruction as compare JNE R7 with 3. As of now, your R7 is 1. So when we compare, it is not equal to 3. So again, it has to jump to this label, that is repeat label. Repeat label is over here, which will again make it to repeat the subroutine program. This is how the program works. The same set of instructions will be repeated for 3 minutes. That is, whenever your R7 goes to 3, your execution of the program will stop. So this is the best example what we have written. That is one of the example what we have written to explain the call and return instruction, usage of the call and return instruction in your program. So as of now, in the meanwhile, you can just check it out. Your R7 has gone to 2 and your A is still, that is, it has cleared it again and it has counted up to 1B. It goes on up to 3C. Your A will count from up to 3C. After that, your R7 will become 3 and it will stop the execution. So this is what the output window, you have to show it to the examiner. So immediately after running the program, you should show that how the seconds are varying every time and R7 is reflected after every 60 seconds. So immediately you can just check it out now. Your A has reached 3B. When it goes to 3C, immediately it has cleared and it has stopped the program. Now you can just observe after 3 minutes, no execution is being performed. Both the incrementation of, that is, your program has stopped running. Your accumulator has, that is, it has reset to 00. Your R7 has reached 03. That means 3 minutes have passed. So your that completes your execution of your program. Now, in the next video, I'll just explain you, I'll take up one more example for the call and return instruction and I'll explain the next program with that. So this program demonstrates you how exactly we can use the call and return instruction to, that is call and return, using the call and return instruction, how we can deviate from main program to the sub program and how we can return from sub program to the main program. And as an example, we have used a simple stopwatch program for that, which is designed for 3 seconds. Okay. So this completes your program. In the next video, we'll come across with another example.